Good morning and welcome to our AM yoga practice. Based on requests, I have decided to create kind of a little guide to downward dog so that we don't feel so much in our upper arms and we get more of the benefits from this pose, which can be very challenging once we're starting. And then once you become a more experienced practitioner, downward dog can actually become a rest pose, believe it or not. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's just start by finding a comfortable seat. I'm sitting on a cushion right now towards the front, slight angle, maintaining that light curve in my lower back. Relax your shoulders back and down. Inhale, length through your spine. Exhale, gentle tuck to the chin. So we elongate the back of the neck. Feel free to close your eyes and just tune in with your breath. Become aware of the breath moving through your body and how your body responds to your breath by expanding and contracting. If you can soften through your forehead and begin to deepen your breath. Now I want us to become aware of our core. Our core is one of our central support systems. We're going to do breath of fire for this. And with breath of fire, what we're doing is we're snapping our abdominal muscles in on the exhale. So like that. The inhale is passive. You might want to try that a few times through your mouth. And then as you progress, you can do the motion through your nose. So we're going to do breath of fire to get that feel of our abdominal muscles snapping in and up. So I want you to not think of contracting in, but of opening up. And your hands can be in your lap, they can be at heart center, or if you want, you can extend your hands, curl your fingers and thumbs, point out at about, at an angle so that if they were to come together overhead, the thumbs would be together. But do what feels good on your arms. I'm going to have mine down since I have some rotator cuff issues. So big inhale to start and begin. Eyes can be closed, or you can take a hazy gaze down your nose. Going at your own rate and pace. You do not have to match mine. "20 seconds left. "10, 5, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, retain your breath. So if you can lift up through your pubis, through your abdominal muscles, and when ready, relax your breath. Now let's just sit for a moment to feel what we feel, to notice any sensations. And to warm up from the head down, let's just go ahead and drop our chin, and then we'll gently bring our left ear to the left shoulder, and then chin back to the center, and right ear to right shoulder. So you're mirroring me, just moving with your breath, doing these half moons with the head. I just want us to wake up our body nice and gently before we move into the downward dog portion. Let's come back to center, lift the head up, then just shrug your shoulders up and relax them down. Inhale up, exhale, relax down. So we're not forcing anything too much. We're just letting the natural range of motion happen. Moving with your breath. Let's find our neutral shoulders. Let's just inhale, lengthen through your spine. And exhale, we're going to twist to one side. Just use your hands for support and breathe in and out. So really feeling the whole rib cage moving front to back, side to side. And notice any tugs or pulls on your body. Just become aware of them, and filling up your lungs slowly with breath. With your next exhale, we're going to release back to center. Then we're going to twist to the other side. First, we ground down, lengthen up, and then twist. So we're twisting from the upper body, using your hands just for support. And then return to your nice deep breath. Again, noticing any tugs or pulls on your body. Think of breathing your breath into those areas, creating space, openness, oxygen into those areas. A little bit of warmth. And then we'll come back. We'll do a spinal flexion. So spinal flexion, we're just inhaling forward and exhaling back, kind of rounding through. So inhale, we open up through our heart, shoulder blades move back. Exhale, we round, kind of tucking the pelvis. And hands are there just to guide and support you. Moving with your breath. Taking it maybe a little deeper as your body warms up. Again, eyes can be open or taking a hazy gaze down your nose or closed, to your choice. Let's come back to neutral. Now we're going to do some Sufi grinds. We're going to inhale forward and then we exhale to the side, round back, inhale to the other side. So now circular motion. Just kind of imagine your pelvic bowl and your spine is this big spoon. It's kind of moving things around, stirring the pot, waking up the spine. Moving with your breath. And then we're going to come back to neutral. And let's go ahead and extend your legs. Let's keep a little bend in your knees so they feel nice and comfortable. Root down through your sit bones, lengthen through the spine, slight dip to the chin. And we're just going to hinge forward. So we're hinging forward from the hips, lengthening the spine, bringing the chest forward and maybe a little closer to the legs. I'm going to press my hands down onto the mat, and then I'm going to allow one leg to get a little closer to the earth, bring it back to bend, and then the other leg a little closer. So this is kind of like a seated forward fold. Feet are flexed. We're just kind of waking up our hamstrings. Notice the sensations in your legs, maybe any tugs into your hip area, your glute area. Just opening things up a little bit. And then let's come back to our neutral spot, sit back up. And if you are on a cushion, let's go ahead and move that out of the way. And then hands come behind you. Now your hands, fingers can be pointing out or behind you or at any angle that feels well, good. Once you roll your shoulders open, we're opening up through the chest, flexing the feet. And if you feel uncomfortable at any time, try different hand motions. We're moving it in. This is your practice. What we want to be feeling right now is a real opening up through the chest. Maybe some strengthening through the quads. And then we're going to come back up center and then forward fold. And again, we can keep a nice bend in the knees, but we're folding forward. Let's start off with a nice straight back. Imagine that you're holding an orange under your chin. And just breathe into it. With each inhale, think of lengthening. With each exhale, think of maybe relaxing down a little bit more. And then with your next breath, go ahead and relax all the way. So round the back, round the head, allow your head to grow nice and heavy. And just breathe all the way along your back body. So imagine your breath coming from your heels all the way to your back side and around to the crown of your head. And as you exhale, imagine it moving along the front side of your body. Maybe you can deepen your breath, feel the expansion and contraction of your rib cage. Now we'll slowly walk the hands up. We're going to come onto our knees and our palms. And if you have sensitive knees, you can use a blanket under your knees. Let's find our table position. So stacking shoulders over wrist, knees under hips. Tops of the feet are pressed down into the mat. I want you to engage your core. And deep breathing here. Just in a neutral back, deep breathing, expansion and contraction. And on every exhale, think just knitting your rib cage together. And as you inhale, the rib cage is spreading, but it's not splitting open. So we're controlling the motion. So inhaling, exhaling. And this is an abdominal exercise as it is. Let's go ahead now and extend the right foot back, press into the ball edge of your foot, and then just a few rocking positions. Core is nice and engaged. We're continuing with our breath, expanding and contracting. Let's bring the knee back, and we'll extend the opposite leg. First, press into it, and then we can introduce the pulses. So waking up our calves a bit. We're going to be using them. And then knees back to neutral. We're going to step the right foot forward. And if you have blocks, you can use them. Otherwise, you can come up onto spidey fingers. Adjust your foundation so we have room for the hips. So feet are hip distance apart in width. Knee is stacked over your ankle. We're going to inhale, lengthen through your spine. So gaze is forward. Imagine you have the orange tucked under your chin. Might be up on your spidey fingers. You might need to move your hand to your knee, but open up through your chest. So chest is nice and open. And see if you can sink down a little bit and then press into your forward leg to open up. So what we're doing is we're opening up your psoas on the other side, not on this side, on the other side. Just kind of breathe and pulse into that. And then see if you can lift up so that we make a 90-degree. Maybe your foot moves in a little bit so you're all the way up. And now let's lean into it a little bit. So our knee is going to extend over our ankle, but our torso is staying stacked over our hips. So this is a safe pose. Then press into your foot to come back, and then we'll come back down. So we're just trying to warm up, loosen up some of the muscles that we're going to be using in our downward dog. Kind of activating them. Let's do that one more time. Come up to our 90-degree angle. We're going to go back into table. Breathing in and out. And then we'll step the left foot forward. Using our blocks if you want to. First, we establish our foundation. Make sure we have a width in there that feels comfortable. Knee is over the ankle. Lengthening through the spine, tucking that orange under your chin. Breathing in, feeling a nice opening in your front psoas. Maybe bring your hands to your knee or to your blocks. Leaning in a little bit, backing off. So just bring a little pressure to your forward foot. And then straightening it out a little bit. So little micro movements. And then we're going to come to the full upright. So making that 90-degree angle. We're stacking hips somewhat over your knee, shoulders somewhat over your hips. We're making sure that we have the 90-degree on the front leg. We're still hip distance apart in our feet. And then we're going to come forward. And then back up. Inhale forward. And back up. Do this a few more times. Okay, and let's go ahead, come back onto our knees, curl your toes, and let's sit back a little bit towards your toes, stretching out through the foot, your toes. Breathe into it. You determine how far back you go. You might be all the way up here. That might be enough. That's fine. It took me a long time to get to this point. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the cushion. You do not want to trip on it. And just move that out of the way. I'm going to come back into tabletop. Engaging our core. And now traditionally what you're going to do is you're going to, for downward dog, is you're going to notice where the top of your index finger is on the mat. So fingers are spread nice and wide. You can see bits of the mat between your fingers. And now where the tip of your index finger is, what we're going to move our hand, so the base of our palm, where the tip of the finger was. And this is just a standard placement for downward dog. We are all different. This is standard. This is where we're going to start at. Now you're going to curl your toes. And then what you're going to do is I kind of think of bringing my shoulders back and down so the eyes of my elbow are facing forward. So that just helps to stabilize your shoulders a little bit more, but your shoulders will, the bones will wing off your back a bit. They have to. As soon as we put our arms overhead, that's what happens. But by aligning the elbows, the eyes and the elbows forward, you kind of create a more stabilized position. Now, your core might be hurting right now. You might be feeling it a little bit because we're activating. Think of breathing big in and out. With each exhale, we're kind of cinching that core sit up. Now, what we're going to do is, it's like we're backing a car out of the garage. We're going to back our tail towards our heels, and we're going to go ahead and hover our knees off the mat. Now, look at your hands. Press into the knuckles of your hands. So not so much in the palms. In fact, could you lift up your palms a little bit as you are backing up? You don't have to. But think of that weight as going towards your knuckles more. We're going to keep the knees bent. Head is nice and heavy. Eyes of the elbows facing forward. Press into your knuckles. Now notice the weight distribution on your feet versus on your hands. And what I would say is use your abdominals. You are going to think of orientating your tailbone, sit bones up towards the ceiling. You're lifting. Now move your tailbone back towards the back wall. So you're using your core strength, your leg strength, your quads, your glutes to take some of that weight backwards. And then come up onto your tippy toes, tailbone up towards that intersection of the back wall and the ceiling. And then we can begin to sink the heels down. Breathe into it. Head is nice and heavy between the arms. Gaze, if your eyes are open, is towards your feet. And let's go ahead and come forward, bringing your knees down and just rest a little bit. Maybe shake out your arms. Open up your shoulders a little bit. Just see how you're feeling. Now, that stance, was it good for you? Were you able to, when I told you that little trick about engaging your core and using your tailbone to direct the weight behind you, did that help to move some of the weight back so that you weren't feeling so much on your arms, your palms, and your shoulders? Now, if it was a little too much still, what I would suggest is maybe let's play with your stance a little bit. But if you feel like you did not totally get the drawing the weight back and up, I'd still be playing with that. But let's just experiment with the distance of our feet, our stance, if you will. So let's start as we did before, in table. Walk your hand, one hand print in advance. Make sure your pointer finger is pointing forward. We've got our knuckles spread nice and wide. I want you to press into your thumb, your little finger, and then all of your finger knuckles. Curl your toes back out of the driveway, just like we did before. Tailbone, sit bones up towards the ceiling. And now we draw our tailbone, sit bones back towards the intersection of the wall and the ceiling, and maybe sink our heels down a little bit. Now let's step our feet forward just an inch or two.
See how that feels. You might have to bend your knees a little bit more. That is totally fine. So pressing into your knuckles. Can you lift your palms up? Draw your weight back. So we're drawing the weight back. We're engaging the core, drawing the weight back. And just notice how this feels. Maybe take another step forward. We do not want to come all the way into forward fold though if we're doing downward dog. To kind of see how that feels. How does it feel on your arms, your shoulders? Are you able to direct your weight back using your core, your glutes, your quads, pulling that weight up and back? Now let's go ahead and step the feet back to where they originally were. And let's come down onto our knees. Just to a relaxed pose, maybe shake it out a little bit. Catch your breath. And just go through your process. How did that feel in your body? Were you able to use your core muscles, your glutes, your quads to help draw the weight back so there wasn't so much in your hands? Play around with it a little bit. And now we're going to try a longer stance. Everybody is different. We all have different ratios of our torsos to our arms to the legs. Yes, there are some standards, but we all have different skeletal systems. So let's come back to our neutral table. You know the drill now. We're going to step our hand, one hand print in front, make sure our pointer fingers forward, rolling the eyes of the elbows forward, curling your toes, engage your core, lift it up almost like you had a cat back. And then we're going to back up. Knees are still bent. We're bringing our tailbone, sit bones up towards the ceiling, and then starting to straighten, coming up onto our tippy toes. And then we think of bringing our tailbone, sit bones to the intersection of the wall of the door. So we're pulling ourselves backward. Imagine that somebody was grabbing you by the hips and just pulling you back. Now, see how this feels. Engaging your core, your quads, your glutes, your legs. And then maybe step your feet back an inch or so. Press in through your knuckles. Tailbone, sit bones up towards the ceiling, towards the back intersection of the wall. Pulling it back, press into your knuckles. Can you lift up your palms? Do you want to take another little step back? See how that feels. Now we don't want to come all the way to a plank. But every time you do a step, maybe bend the knees, reorient. Your tailbone, sit bones up towards the ceiling. Begin to sink your heels down and pull your tailbone, quads, glutes to the back intersection of the wall and the ceiling. Can you be light on your palms? Let's go ahead and inhale, knees down, come to a relaxed position. So those are just a few ways to play around with downward dog. There are other ways too. We can be using props. Let's just relax our arms a little bit, our body for a second. So what we're going to do here is if you have a couple of blocks, go ahead and grab them. And we want to make sure that they're on the mat so they don't slide. We have a nice amount of friction. So we're going to set up in table first, stacking everything. And then when it's time, then we're going to move the block so that our heel of our hand is going to be where the index finger was. So I'm just going to move the block to where my index finger is. And then my hand is going to go forward. And I like to have my wrist a little bit off of the side. I just feel a little more firm. Now, pointer finger is forward, spreading all your fingers. My little finger kind of wraps around. So we're going to get our arms in position, curl your back toes, and then we're going to back out. Lift up, sit bones, tailbone up towards the ceiling, and now we pull it to the back intersection of the wall as we lower our heels down. Breathe into that, press into the knuckles of your fingers. Not too much weight in your the base of your palm. But we're on a block, probably feeling a little unstable, so don't worry about it. If you feel it a little more there, do you have a nice cushion of your block? Hopefully, sink your heels down towards the mat. Breathe in and out, tailbone up towards the sky, back towards the wall. Breathing in and out, nice and deeply using your core. And let's come back onto our knees. Go ahead and move the blocks out of the way. So those are just a few different ways that we can experience downward dog, playing with it to make sure that we're not getting too much of the weight in our shoulders and in our arms. So let's cool down a little bit. So for this, go ahead and find your comfortable seat, whatever that may be. We're going to clasp our hands behind our back. Think of turning the eyes of your elbow towards your back. Open up through your chest. Imagining the orange under your chin again. And if it feels good, go ahead and lift your arms a little bit behind you. Maybe at a bit of a diagonal. Really open up through your chest. Deep inhale, exhale. And go ahead and relax your hands. We're going to go ahead and bring your right hand to your left shoulder and level. And then we're just going to gently move your elbow a little closer to the shoulder. Breathe in, nice tall spine. And then relax, and we're going to switch. So you're going to bring your left hand to your right shoulder. Make sure it's level. And then we'll gently bring your elbow in towards your shoulder. So torso is still facing forward. It's getting a nice stretch. So if you can use your breath to slow down your heart. And then relax. Let's go ahead and clasp our fingers and then put the opposite thumb on top. Let's do a few figure eights, just in case you have a bit of weight in your fingers are feeling stiff. And now let's reverse the direction of our figure eight. It's usually kind of awkward. It requires us to use our brain a bit. And then let's shake that out, coming back onto your knees. Press your right foot back, engaging your core. Bring it back down, left foot back. Engage your core. We're going to go ahead, cross your feet, come back onto your back. Gently, slowly lower down. Let's grab one knee into the chest, elongate the other knee, then bring your knee more towards your armpit. Relax your shoulders down to the earth. Getting a nice stretch. I'll switch legs. So left knee in towards the chest, right leg extends. Big breath, and then we bring left knee more towards the left armpit. Return to your breath. See if you can relax your face, your shoulders. And now we'll draw both knees in. Give them a nice squeeze. Maybe roll your feet one direction, then the other direction. We're going to bring the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. You're going to reach your hands in between your feet, but then grab the outside edge. Again, think of bringing your knees in towards your armpit. This is a version of happy baby. Big inhale, exhale. Let's go ahead and rock a little bit side to side. And find neutral again, and now play in your happy baby a bit. Go ahead and stretch your legs out. Bringing them as close to your body as you want to, as far away, bending, straightening. So make it yours, your happy baby. And then relax, release, feet to the ground. Let's lengthen out. Palms up, getting nice and comfortable, get any squiggles out. And relaxing in Savasana. Relax your face, your torso, your legs, your feet. Eyes can be closed or taking a hazy gaze down your nose. And I invite you to stay here for as long as you can, a couple moments, a couple minutes. Returning to your breath, noticing the flow and movement of the breath throughout your body. If you're short on time, go ahead and roll to the side. And then we'll press up into your version, comfortable seating position. Inhale, length through your spine. Exhale, relax your shoulders. Let's go ahead and bring your palms together, rub them together, stimulating all those nerve endings. Pressing thumb into sternum. Take a moment to reflect upon your practice, to thank yourself and your body for giving them the gift of motion and movement, and for showing up today with much gratitude. Namaste.